Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by, there are words to say. Because I live in Montreal, and we would say more of like a local legend. But Alex Erian from the band Despised Icon, Obey the Brave, Messorem, all three things that I am fans of. Thank you for hanging out.
Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for having me, buddy.
We can start things off. Did you have a happy holiday season? Were you as busy as the rest of us with Messorem and beers and things like that?
Well, family-wise, it was nice to see my parents for Christmas. It was nice to see my girlfriend's parents for New Year's. Both she and I are, I'm an only child, same for her. We both come from small families, so that was it in a nutshell, man. So we had the opportunity to just spend some quality time together, my girlfriend and I, and I've been longing for that for a long-ass time. Working very hard at Messorem, the brewery, and very hard with Despised Icon, the band. We had this U.S. tour, the new record and all that, so I was pretty much working 7 days a week for at least the past year and a half or so, and I'm not even exaggerating. So now I'm finally reaping the benefits. I get to kick back, relax. The record's out, tour's done, planning the next one for I was going to say next year, but it's this year now, this fall, and enjoying this nice slowing down. I like this waking up in the morning and not necessarily having something to do. That being said, I'm always a little busier than average, I guess, but right now feels great. Lots of catching up on some rest. What about you? Spent some good holidays?
Yeah. It was I started an office job in August. So I work for Sony Animation, and
That's sick.
yeah, it's different than what I'm used to. I'm used to being like a front of house audio guy, and like doing nights and weekends and unpredictable schedule. But it's nice to have a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, I guess, and have a schedule. But it's a lot of desk work and like multitasking and brain power. So it was definitely a learning curve. And luckily my office, like our whole studio closes between like December 19th and January 5th. Like, so the 2 weeks of Christmas, New Year's, we're paid to stay home and not work or anything. It's really, really nice. So yeah, I got to go to Portugal, hang out a bit,
I remember you telling me that solo trip with friends, partner.
Yeah, me and my wife went. Me and my wife love traveling, and so because I'm so busy with all of my hobbies and band things and stuff, she's always like, leave these weeks, like do not do anything these days, and she plans like in a spreadsheet where we're gonna go, what we're gonna see, where we're gonna eat, like everything is to a T. Yeah, I think she has a missed calling, and it's not something that I want her to pursue because the job she has now is amazing. But it's fun I think she enjoys doing the whole like, research on TikTok and, online, like finding the right places that aren't the most touristy, but are more like locals friendly for, people visiting. But yeah, Portugal, people are nice. Wine's good.
Get the real experience. Sometimes when you're like in a resort or whatever, you're like super sheltered. One thing that I'm sure you would agree, one thing that's fun with music in general and touring is just, experiencing different cultures, architecture, the food, and just the overall real experience, so to speak. That's cool, man. I normally just wing it on vacation, improvise, but hey, man, sometimes you you can be surprised. It feels like an adventure, because you wake up and you don't know how the day is going to go or how it's going to end.
I'm a fan of that. I like winging it. Like my undiagnosed attention disorder will we'll be walking somewhere or like going to a place and we'll pass something that just looks cool and I'll be like, do we have time to go in there or is that something we can add to the list? Like I'm going to need to go in that place and then we can make audibles. Luckily she leaves space for
Uh-huh.
my dog like attention span to be able to like, follow the squirrel.
Um, I had some friends over yesterday, and my girlfriend and I were talking about our last trip to Quebec City, and we were going to Charlevoix, and then we were on the road, realized that it was way more complicated than expected to actually get a hotel. We were like, you know what, let's just go to Quebec City, and then booked it all, in the car, and then got there, had a nice dinner, and then we're walking in old Quebec, and then I hear like Elton John in the background, and I'm like, let's walk towards the music, so it brings us to the port, and then next thing you know, holy shit, fireworks are starting in half an hour, and then stuff like that, little things makes it
Yeah.
special.
I love that.
Real quick, because I'm super curious, and for me, the incentive to doing this podcast is just catching up with you and getting to know you. Because every time we do cross paths, it's short and sweet, but always, I don't know, man, you're cool. So for me, this is just the opportunity to learn a couple of things about you. You said Sony, so I know you do studio work. So is it like sound production for like for movies or TV or video games, or what do you do specifically?
So I am interested in possibly doing that. And because I work for a studio that is a Sony, like it's directly owned by Sony, there
Hmm.
is that possibility of me moving around the umbrella companies, like that are all owned by Sony. So like my studio shares a building with one of the Sony video game studios called Haven. And so they hire for sound and things, which is something that I was actually supposed to start school for when I joined this job, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to do both. Like, I can't do school and do the full time production job." But right now, I just do production, so I'm a production assistant, um, where basically we just make sure that things happen on time, and that we're
Okay.
doing things to the budget for the film, and support all of the artists that are working on like movies. Like we've put out movies like the Spider Verse, um, movies like the one that's coming out that's been announced that I worked on called Goat. It's produced by Steph Curry. And it's kind of his like autobiography, but in animated form. It's pretty interesting, but it's a cute movie. So I'm doing things like that, which kind of come from my background doing live events and working for Extensive and things like that.
Right on.
So
Well, I'm a fan of the brand. My whole entertainment system in my living room is Sony speakers, OLED, all that. I feel like I watched a Sony movie recently. I should check on my letterboxd. I feel like I watched a really good movie that's a Sony production lately. Is uh is Marty Supreme? No, that's A24. I can't remember. Anyways, good gig, man. Congrats.
I know. It's like it's not the best paid work right now, but it has the potential that like my
Stepping
contract.
stones.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can work through and within like, you know, 7 years be a really, really great position where I can just take off time and do whatever I want and work from anywhere. So I'm kind of trying to see the longevity of that.
Hey man, as a touring musician, that's like the best of both worlds right there,
Hmm.
man.
Hmm. And my team found out that I play like in a band. So they were like, "Why are you going on vacation at this random time?" I'm like, "I'm actually going on tour. Like I have like 5 shows in the US that I got to play." And they're like,
Uh-huh.
"What? That's crazy." And then they think I'm like playing in like a band that they'll want to listen to. And then they hear it and they're like, "What the hell is this?" So that's pretty fun.
I I saw this one meme where it's always like the same, office joke, like oh, can I join? Can I play the triangle or like some shit like that? Uh but yeah, it's weird, man, the things that we do, music in general, a lot of people don't expect expect that,
Hmm.
people that don't me through this, the lens of, this music life, they tend to be surprised or perplexed when they see that I yell for also for a living, part
Yeah.
time, but whatever.
Yeah. It's like, that's like at work. Work is to pay for the things that I want to do, which is yell into a microphone at people about things that like I care about. And then at work, it's like, did this guy get his OT meal on time? Like that's the things that I'm worried
Uh-huh.
about. It's very funny. Yeah, I luckily like there's a ton because we live in Quebec. Obviously, there's gonna be metalheads in every office.
Hmm.
I think that's a blessing. And as soon as I started, like one guy I had known from the past has been following Bruiserweight since we started because I've known him since I moved to Montreal. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you're working here now? That's crazy." And the next week, he's like, "You're playing with Despised Icon," and then literally told every other metalhead in the office. So I've got like 10 people that are like, "I heard Bruiserweight. Are there any tickets to that Despised Icon show?" I was like, "No, dude. It's been sold out for like a week and a half." So that was really funny. And then everybody was like, "I heard your band. It's pretty interesting." It's like, great. Now everybody thinks I'm weird and like mean.
I mean, to be honest, Grayson, literally yesterday, a friend of mine lives in the UK, was like, "Yo, do you know this band Bruiserweight?" And then he sends me your EP that I've had on Dropbox since John,
Yeah, yeah, of
sent it
course.
my way. Um, I was like, "Yeah, we just played our hometown show with them actually." So the word's getting out. You got your little street team. You got my boy Nick,
Nick,
on
man.
tour with us. We were touring with Bayway, and they're from Jersey. They say it proud. They say it loud, and then I believe you guys just played Jersey, so I think he was trying to like link you guys up or whatever. But cool to see that bands from here, from the province, or even from the country, that more and more I'm seeing
Hmm.
them, out there touring internationally. And that's, as I keep saying, it's not just a win for Bruiserweight, it's a win for the whole scene. So
Hmm.
I'm still very proud to be from Montreal specifically, and I make sure that regardless of the city that we're in, that people know that we're from Montreal, because it's I feel like it's a very vibrant city culturally speaking, but I have this bias, I can't shake it off. To
Hmm.
me, any band that's not American sort of has to work a little harder for it, just because Canada is not the main market, short and simple. But yeah, man, good for you guys. Keep grinding.
Thank you. And thanks for asking us to play that show. I mean, that was like,
Of course.
I was so taken aback by it whenever John was like, "I think we're gonna get asked to play the show," and I was like, "What? What?" And then he showed me the message. I was like, "Oh fuck, that's sick." Yeah,
It
I mean,
it was a no-brainer. I can't remember if it was Dave that suggested it or if it was it came to mind. But I don't know. As soon as the name dropped, we were like, "Yeah, let's do it." No arguing involved, just a very easy yes. And then, okay, so what'd you do yesterday? It was simple, as
that's
simple
sick.
as that.
Uh, thank you so much again. I mean, fucking biggest show we've ever played. That's for sure.
Was it? Was it?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Club
Yeah.
Soda's nice, man. It's like not too big, not too small. It's like the perfect mid-sized venue. And
Hmm.
Dave and I made sure that there'd be no barricades, and just I have a lot of fond memories in that venue specifically, whether it's just performing there or as a concert goer. Love the place.
One of the first shows I went to in Montreal was Knocked Loose at Club Soda, like before they became the biggest band on the planet.
Uh huh.
And that was it was like there, and I had been to Bartleritz and then maybe Fairmount.
Okay.
And I remember
How old
Club
are you,
Soda.
Grayson?
I
If you don't.
am oh, I'm 33, but I moved to
Okay.
Montreal in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So where are you from originally? Ontario or America?
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's what I wanted to say. Like
Wow.
I also love Montreal. Montreal is my home.
Uh-huh.
It's my favorite city on the planet, and I also am proud to say that brews away is from Montreal, especially when we go to the States and we play with all these, like, scary American bands, and they're like, "Oh, where are you guys from? Like, you guys are sick." I'm like, "We're from Canada." And then they're like, "Oh, shit, really?"
I like that you said scary American bands. I remember, like, our first tours and just seeing the overall violence that's, in those pits. I've seen it all. I've seen some tragic stuff,
Mhm,
people with, that they leave, in an ambulance, which is very unfortunate. I've seen, like the pit literally pepper sprayed by security during our set and, like, stuff like that. People go hard in America. It's
mhm.
crazy. Uh, but yeah, I've been to Atlanta a bunch. Obviously, Masquerade in Atlanta, old and new. I've played probably every venue within those venues because they have the small, the mid-size, the large. Been to Augusta a couple of times, but never Savannah. Is there an actual scene there? Like, I feel like
Mhm.
not a lot of tours will hit Savannah in specifically.
The problem with Savannah, like, it's small, it's 100,000-ish people, and it's a big college town. So, in the school year, you get all these kids come in, you get a new wave every year
Hmm.
of a new crop of kids, but then people don't stay all the time, so the rate of, like, people in the scene that stay for more than, like, 4 years is very small. Like, there's, like, a whole little kinda crew of locals that I'm friends with that I grew up with in high school and stuff that are still there. Like, do you know the band Vatican?
Yes.
So
There
that
was actually a Vatican Montreal, by the way, but
no.
I'm familiar with the other Vatican. Yeah.
So they're from Savannah,
Okay.
and they kinda like, whenever they separated, some of those guys started Psycho Frame, and then, another group of those guys started a band called Agonize, and they kind of try to help book
I've
some shows, but then they
Okay.
also are trying to, like, keep the scene up, but it's always been a struggle. Like, since I was a kid, it's always been like, "Where are all the bands?" Um, and they don't really do there's only, like, an 8,000 cap venue or a bunch of, like, 150.
Okay.
So, there's not really anywhere to play.
Those are some of the funnest shows, though, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's not as much of a thing here, but in America, I've played every type of venue or improvised venue possible: pool hall, bowling alley, Knights of Columbus,
Mhm.
VFW, a lot of floor shows. Don't play those as much nowadays, but, that was like that was like the golden era for me. It was, very special. I miss it actually. I feel like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're still a small underground band, so I feel like we could very much play those type of venues still, and maybe it's time to bring it back. Who knows?
Man, just do a stopover in, like, Savannah and play, like, a 100 cap room. Because when I was growing up in high school, I knew who Despised Icon was. I was a Deathcore kid.
Mhm.
So I
Okay.
played in a deathcore band. Actually, my first band was more like a Day to Remember, but I was still in that, kind of Warped Tour era metalcore, deathcore scene, and then got into hardcore through that. Because then I saw some bands that were on the same bill, and I was like, oh man, this is like way more what I want to do. But I was playing breakdowns and crazy double bass and as Blood Runs Black style, like
Uh-huh.
blast beats and stuff, and then um, so yeah, people in Savannah know Despised Icon. You could definitely play a show there.
Well, you mentioned Psycho Frame. I think they're scattered across the country, but
Hmm.
they're one of the few deathcore bands that I'm really hyped up on and try to name drop them as much as possible. And they have the wind in their sails right now. It feels like they're getting picked up on uh, getting plugged on all these big tours. So it's good to see, man. I was recently listening to like a side project that some of the members have called Drowned in Concrete or Drowned Under Concrete or some like hard ass name like that, and it's just straight up slam, and
Yeah, of course.
it's good gym tunes, definitely.
I think I don't know if he's still in it, but the bassist of Dying Wish was one of the guys that kind of helped start that band with
Okay.
the guitarist Hunter. I think he's from Purity Ring, and I think he's still the guy that writes most of it. And then the vocalist was like in Church Tongue at one point, and then Vatican's vocalist was in it. I don't know. It's like I never know who's actually in the band. I only know when they were starting, it was like half of the people were from Vatican, and then it was like people from Florida.
Well, they got the dual vocals going on, so I
Oh yeah,
definitely back that.
yeah. Dual vocal club.
Yeah. I think there's a UK band called
Yeah,
Despised or something like that with a Z, and they got the two vocals. Do
yeah.
they? I don't know. I feel like they do.
I
I like
I
it.
don't
I like
remember
it.
there. I mean, I love that band. I don't know if I've ever seen them outside of just listening to their music
Uh-huh.
because I have friends that love that band.
Okay.
Um, before we move, let me say, do you have any coffee?
Yes, I do. Right
What do you
here.
have?
It's just uh, Lavazza.
Lavazza.
Am I pronouncing that correctly? It's just
I don't know.
standard. I just get it at Costco. What about you?
I have something from Phil and Seb, which is a Calgary roaster.
Okay.
Big fan of theirs. They've been around for a long time, kind of pushing the Canadian third wave scene. Um, and I found a special coffee from them yesterday called Elder Chavez Honey
Okay.
Gesha. And
Okay.
it's got a really funky label, really nice. Um, and this is a coffee from Honduras. It's a Gesha, which is like a really kind of difficult coffee to grow.
Okay.
And it tastes like peach nectar, oolong tea, and honey. So nice and sweet. So, yeah.
I'm not a sugar in your coffee type of guy, so I don't know like if I would appreciate the sweetness as much. Um, yeah, it's pretty boring, man. It's just a big bag that I get at Costco, and my dad calls it the rebate cycle in a sense that like I'm used to getting the same products there,
Mhm.
and then when they're on special, I just grab an extra bag or something, and then I'm all set for a while. I know to at least when you open the bag, you need to put it in the fridge, so I know that.
Okay.
But as far as like a local coffee is concerned, our friends in Traffic,
Yep.
they do it well.
Shout out
They
Jesse.
are shout out Greg. They're right beside Messorem, and we go way back. So it's good to see some friends, you know, within that industry and persevering and making a name for themselves. So yeah, cool.
I was thinking of doing work with Traffic because I was working for a roaster in Verdun for a bit called Balance. And I met Jesse. We did a podcast together. And I was like thinking of doing some work with him just to kind of get a different, outlook. But that's when I kind of started going to school and then got the job at Sony. So the coffee working has put on pause for a minute, but I still have the passion. I want to get back into it maybe one day. Maybe that's the business I end up starting. It's coffee.
Hey man, I don't know Jesse as much, but I know Greg. He and I go way back, and I know his background, and I know that at some point he had a very lucrative job, and at the end of the day, he was very passionate about, you know, the idea of starting Traffic and coffee in general, and he
Hmm.
just put that entire, safe aspect of his life aside to pursue that hustle. And I have so much respect for that, you know. Uh, as a musician, you know, you just risk it all for that crazy dream, man. So
I know.
shout out to all the entrepreneurs.
It's that DIY mindset. I think that's why a lot of
Yeah.
the coffee and beer and tattooing, barbering, a lot of those guys come from this background because it's a flexible job, number one. And number two, you really got to grind and hustle it out. So,
I love people that have like, you know, that are business savvy. They know how to apply themselves, but still keep a bit of that punk rock in their soul, you know? Otherwise it's
absolutely.
just stale. Otherwise it's just stale.
Hmm. You can kind of weed it out too, right? Like you can spot it when it's like they're maybe not stale, but like not like OS, not old school, if that makes sense.
OS.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
As the kids would say. I'm learning these terms.
I'm just trying to keep up, man. I'm 45. The majority of my employees at Messorem are probably like 20 years younger. So I like to say that music keeps me young and grounded, but just hanging out with the new generation at work, I feel like I have a good idea of, le langage, the current sayings. But I don't know. Some people talk funny, man. Uh, people in people in Toronto, I don't know what's up with the
Trana.
Toronto slang and accent, but it's a whole new world as well.
Yeah. Trana.
Hey, to each their own. It's all good. Trana.
Jane and Finch, you know.
I feel like that's from the past though. Nowadays, I feel like I don't know. I
You
can't
know,
put
fam.
my
They say fam a lot, right?
yes. There we go.
Hey, fam, you know, Trana, go to Trinity Bellwoods, you know.
Yeah, I feel like Drake started something, and I'm not sure it's good.
We don't have to talk about Drake. It's
all right.
That's a long, steady slope. It gets steeper and steeper. I wanted to go somewhere and I can't remember where it is. So let's get into talking about the hustle and the grind.
Yep.
When starting Messorem, what was going through your head?
Well, for starters, I can't take credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually not one of the owners.
Right.
I am the oldest employee. So to backtrack a little bit here, some of my best friends play in a band called Ion Dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say best friends, Kevin, the vocalist, was at my place yesterday. He and I were roommates for 5 years. I was roommates with JF, the drummer, for 3 of those years. Antoine, the guitar player, is my drummer's cousin. Sebastien, the other guitar player, went to high school with Steve, my vocalist. So a lot of ties there. And when Ion Dissonance called it a day, Sebastien had this new initiative called Messorem. My friend Filion, who toured with, who was Obey the Braves merch guy at some point, or Despised Icons graphic designer, or he and I used to work in a print shop called Image Folie. These are all people that I've known for like 20 plus years. Same for Vincent. He used to play drums in a band called The Last Felony, a death metal band from Montreal. And those three teamed up with another brewer and 2 older partners and started Messorem. And so I was aware of all these conversations because these were ongoing conversations for, I'd say, almost 2 years before they even opened. And I remember summer 2019 going to the brewery before it even opened. And it was a gamble, man, and especially in that part of town, which wasn't as vibrant as it is now with the canal and the Dreamy Cafe right next door, or the CrossFit gym right next door. It was like industrial, abandoned. So I was like, holy fuck, boys, you're going all in, and I had nothing but respect for their initiative and that move. And then they did it, and then one thing led to another, and so they opened August 2019. And then I would hang out there. I hung out there a couple of instances before it even opened. They were painting tables or setting up the bar and whatnot, just to stop by, see the progress, say hi. But I was touring full time then, either with Despised or with Obey the Brave. Both bands had put out records that year in 2019, so two records, all within the span of 6 months. A lot of grinding, a lot of touring, and then I just remember being on consecutive tours all of fall 2019. Got back home December 2019. And was just exhausted. And I knew then that I needed a career change, because I had been touring full time for, at that point, a little over, oh my God, like 20 years, something ridiculous like that. And so I'm home alone after like, X amount of shows and just drained and tired and going through some personal turmoil. And then Filion, one of the owners, one of my best friends, FaceTimes me at like midnight or something. Yo, how was the tour and all that? And I'm just like depressed. And like, he's like, yo, you need a change of pace. And I was like, yeah, I know. I've been thinking about it for the past couple of months. And he's like, why don't you try working at Messorem, And I'm like, fuck off. I don't want your pity job. Like, I got this. I'll figure shit out. And then we catch up. And then the next day, Sebastien texts me. So he's like, so you're coming to work at Messorem, right? And then I'm looking at my phone. I don't know what to do with my life. And I'm like, fuck it. Let's try it out. And then one thing led to another, and I actually learned a lot and applied myself and actually enjoyed it. And one thing led to another. I became a bartender, and then one thing led to another. I became the service manager, all within the span of like 6 months, because it was a new company, that at that point was only open for 3 months. So that's how that started. A lot of friends, but at the end of the day, the friend card can only get you so far. If you treat it as a hall pass and you cut corners short and sort of like use your friendship as an excuse to be like, bro, it's all good, man, or like half-ass the job, then you're out, So I applied myself, had a lot of learning, catching up to do, and it straightened me out, and it gave me a new calling and the opportunity to live life at home in Montreal, because touring 6 months out of the year, living out of a suitcase, it's magnificent. I've experienced so much of this world, but at some point, I made that decision at 39, and I needed to experience new things and a routine at home in Montreal. Hence why Messorem came at that right time. And we started from, a small team of half a dozen to a dozen to now, I don't know, 60 employees, more or less. I am the elder. I lead the team. But what's cool about, conducting these interviews and being in charge of the hiring process for the entire service team is I get to, have that vibe check and make sure that everyone's aligned, whether it's professionally or just, personality wise, so that it just clicks, and that balance, that symbiosis within the team has been miraculous. Obviously you think of Messorem, you think of the quality of the product, you think of, how awesome the environment itself is, la terrasse and all that. But then my mandate is just for the quality of the service to be as on par with the quality of the product, and working with like-minded people that just vibe off of that and feed off of that. It's just I feel like it's the first time that I feel like I'm like part of a band, that band experience, but outside of music. So I felt lost, and now I feel found. And that's why I am loyal. That's why I'm hardworking. That's why still to this day, 6 years in, I'm learning. And it's very reassuring to start a new career in your 40s and feel the same type of motivation that you do that I did while I was in my 20s or 30s, knocking on all these doors with Despised Icon, in the 2000s, and Obey the Braves in the 2010s, and whether it's signing to Century Media or signing with Epitaph, labels that I grew up listening to, or being, on Nuclear Blast right now, it's an exhilarating feeling, but I feel like I have that with the brewery, which is super weird, but awesome. So, that shit saved me, not gonna lie.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, I remember in 2020, everything closed and everybody's worried. And then Messorem comes out and they do a beer release, and there's like lines around the block.
Yeah.
And you just like walk up to a garage door that's half open, and a dude hands you your beers, and you just walk away. Yep. And that was life for like about a year, right? Like because the terrace could open.
I remember at some point, people had to people could only order their product online or show up at the brewery and do type of a like beer store, take it to go. I remember at some point the line outside was too long, so the police showed up because the line that was outside of the establishment was perhaps a no-no. So at some point you're like, how do we control this shit? We had to schedule, have time slots scheduled on Shopify so that people wouldn't show up all at the same time. But we are, it's unfortunate because a lot of businesses went under during that time. But Messorem actually found a way to thrive despite the adversity that the pandemic provided. Because I don't know if people from Savannah are listening right now, but down south things were probably not as hard. But here, man, with how do you say couvre-feu, with the people had to be home at the curfew or
curfew, yeah.
People had to be home at like 7 or 8 at night,
for like 2 years.
It was wild. And I started December 2019, and then I'm like, fuck, I got this rhythm going. This is sick. And then I'll always remember showing up to work. My colleague, my friend Cedric, and I, we were the only two running the brewery that day on a Sunday. And then just people showing up and then seeing the news and be like, sorry, guys, we got to close. This weird COVID shit is happening, and I guess we're not allowed to be open right now. And I remember people from Ottawa drove specifically just to Montreal to sample the beer, and we had to tell them, sorry, you guys got to go. And then I was like, fuck, I feel like I finally found this new calling, and now we got to close for 6 months, And meanwhile, I was planning this summer festival tour with Despised, and I'm like, holy shit, man. Both of my jobs are illegal, so to speak, at the moment. So what do I do with myself? And it was a nice break, dude. I would say the first lockdown, I enjoyed it. It was I needed a break, man. I needed that mental vacation. I was just at an all-time low, and I had to fix myself from the ground up professionally, financially, emotionally, physically, everything, man. So I just remember getting my first pair of AirPods. These are the brand new ones, which are sick, by the way. And then just going on endless walks and
dude,
listening to music, and just everything's felt empty, and there was just this tranquility. But then fucking second lockdown, I was over it, man. I was I want to work. I need
people.
Yeah, I need people. Yeah, whatever. But that
shit was hard.
That's yeah, I haven't talked about COVID in a while. I saw the movie Eddington, Harry Astor, and everyone's wearing a mask, and it takes place during that era, and it just brought me back to holy shit, I forgot how weird things were. You sort of forget it after a while, which is good because you move on. But yeah,
it was traumatic at the time. I think a lot of us still have it. If we get reminded, it will trigger to remember. Man, especially extroverted people. I'm a huge extrovert, and having to just sit at home and not do anything. And I love my wife, but I know she got tired of me. Because I'm annoying. So I just remember living room, and I'm not afraid to admit this, and y'all can clown on me if you want to. I don't fucking care. I would living room mosh to Hate 5/6 sets.
Okay.
Because I was so bored.
Interesting. Well, that's cool, man. At some point you got to live.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I need something to hype me up. So I would, watch Hate 5/6 sets from This Is Hardcore and be like, I'm gonna mosh. I need a mosh. I'm fucking bored out of my mind.
Crowd killing the couch, the couch cushions or whatever.
Stage dive on the couch, jumping off the counter. I was like, you're gonna hurt yourself, and I did, but it's okay. But yeah, going on walks was a lifesaver. I think I had some cheap, Bluetooth air headphones like this, and I would just walk from my place, close to the old port, and I would just walk straight down Notre Dame for like an hour into like Little Burgundy, and like maybe go to Atwater and then just turn around and walk back just to get a break.
Nice little area.
Yeah.
For myself, at the time I had recently moved back to Saint Leonard,
Mhm.
which is where I grew up. It's on the island of Montreal. And so those walks were just me rediscovering where I originally grew up, and walking past the schools and the video store and, reminiscing. And that was the starting point to, all right, this is who I was and what do I want to be now? What's the next step? So it's good to slow things down. It gives you the opportunity. It gives, some weird way, I feel that a lot of the growth that I'm experiencing right now or that I've experienced in the past couple of years or so stemmed from that moment, but maybe it was all coincidence. Who knows?
Um, Switching gears a little bit,
Yes, sir.
by a little bit I mean like completely in a different direction. I've heard people reference Despised Icon being the original deathcore band, and I know that there's arguments and names and things that have been thrown out. But I definitely think it is, if not the first, one of the first. Um, where were you guys drawing influence from and shaping that sound where there is death metal parts mixed with like breakdowns, two steps, like things that you would see in hardcore, but with the metal? Because deathcore is a mixture of, if, in case people don't know, it's death metal and hardcore, and then you put them together, and that's basically where it started.
I mean, that's how it started. I feel like nowadays, it's evolved into something different, but I also like that because, I mean, for me, creativity is the spice of life, man. Uh, it keeps me young, man. Like, and I feel for a scene to grow and thrive, it's important for it to sort of reinvent itself. But I feel like a lot of the current deathcore bands, are influenced by former or older deathcore bands. And
Mhm.
for us, that wasn't a thing. So my inspiration was, as you said, it's death metal and it's hardcore mashed together. I haven't done a lot of these interviews for this record cycle just because I've been so busy and picky. But the reoccurring question is often how did deathcore start? And I wouldn't say that we are the first, but we are definitely amongst the first.
Mhm.
So to backtrack, Eric, one of my old friends, he used to be in a band called Necrotic Mutation,
Shout out.
a death metal band. They're sick.
I
Look them
love
up.
Necrotic Mutation.
I was one of their biggest fans, quite frankly, and I was part of a death metal band called Neuraxis, more like melodic death metal. And
Mhm.
prior to that, I was in a death metal band called Hidden Pride, just straight brutal death metal. And so he and I met through, a common friend, uh, and then started seeing each other more and more at shows. And there's probably like a 1.5 or 2 year difference between he and I. So first time I met him, I was probably like 16 or 17. He was 18 or 19. So big gap at the time,
Mhm.
but he's always felt like the big brother. One thing led to another, and then we became close friends, and then we started this band, right? So he and I teamed up summer of 2000, started writing songs together. And slowly the rest of the year and throughout 2001, we recruited the members and wrote the first record, which became Consumed by Your Poison, recorded it, you know, I think end of 2001 or beginning of 2002. And then when we actually had these songs, that's when we decided to start playing. So that's why we always say the band started out in 2002. That's because that's when we played our first shows,
Mhm.
and that's when we put out music. But it took us over a year to just make this band right from the ground up and be ready to actually, uh, operate on somewhat of a professional level when we started out. And as I said, I was in death metal bands, he was in death metal bands, so we wanted to start a death metal band, but have it be different, add a couple of new elements in there to sort of make it different, not only for us, but for the people out there, and also a way to stand out, right? And yeah, I was going to a lot of hardcore shows back then, but I grew up mainly in like the punk and metal scene in the mid 90s, late 90s. So the bulk of the shows that I would go to were death metal, punk rock shows. But there was this very influential TV show on Music Plus, which is sort of like the equivalent to Much Music or MTV, which was called Solid Rock. And they would just play, heavy music videos. And so they'd show, I think that era was probably, let's say they would show an obituary music video, probably, what's it called? World Demise, probably that era. And then afterwards they'd play, something off State of the World Address by Biohazard. And to me, it's Biohazard must be a metal band, they got like the fast punk rock beats, they got like the screamed vocals. So that's how I got into Biohazard and Madball and all that. And that's how I sort of like one thing led to another. And I got into the hardcore scene, and then going to school at CJEP, I saw this guy walking around and he had like these very provocative shirts. And this was like late 90s, it was like smoking sucks, or like beer is for losers, and like shit like that. And like, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. His name is Louis Philippe, and he was the vocalist of arguably the first straight edge band in Montreal called Deviant. Hopefully I'm making sense here. I'm going from one thing to the other. But like, so Louis Philippe playing in a band called Deviant. I still have the cassette at home. I think they're the first Montreal hardcore straight edge band, late 90s. And then I met him. That band ended abruptly and became In Dying Days, melodic hardcore, metalcore band. Went to school with like half of those guys. So they got me into like the real hardcore, originally it was like bands like 10 Yard Fight or Floor Punch, stuff like that I never fully resonated with me, but like one of the bands that I really Reach the Sky and all that, but Holding This Moment by Bane, that was a record for me, and really that's sort of like when I got it, and part of the reason why there are gang vocals in Despised Icon is because of that record specifically. But then just going to a lot of hardcore shows with either those dudes that were just showing me the ropes and showing me like all these bands, or just going to a lot of hardcore shows on my own and just really enjoying that vibe. And it felt less serious. I felt like metal at the time in Quebec was very competitive, and it felt like hardcore was new, and it was more of a community, and people were just helping out each other. And Dave from Extensive, I feel like he comes more from that background, and he, ultimately became the biggest and the best promoter in Montreal. And I mean that, but at the time I was going to the shows that he was booking, which was, I don't know, either X Monopoly, X Productions, or Underworld Productions, or whatever his endeavor was at the time, and just learned a lot. And that was like the component that I wanted to add to the death metal that Eric and I wanted to write. So it was a mixture of both scenes, and we just somehow like mashed it up together and forced it together. And to me, that's how it started in Montreal, at least. And I did the Garza podcast recently, and he got me thinking about like this show. I guess I mentioned it in some old ass interview, and I was at a show at this venue called Lex. And this venue is close to Fouf's. It's on St. Catherine Street. It closed like over a decade ago. It was bought out by Lucam. They got the spot and then never did anything with it. UQAM is like a university here for people that are out of town. And so a lot of the local shows, or a lot of the smaller shows or smaller tours, would play there, and a lot of the hardcore shows I would go to were there. And I went to a death metal show, and this was late 90s. It was a band from Montreal called Démons. They're like a French, Canadian, Québécois Cannibal Corpse.
Okay.
So I went to support them. And then a band from New York was supporting them. They're called Malamore. And then they had the word deathcore on their long sleeve, and this is late 90s. And they had like the Dying Fetus sound, and they were like very much a death metal band, but they had the groove element. And then I saw someone mosh, and I was used to seeing people mosh, you know, at a hardcore show, but to a death metal band, I had never seen this before. And it's typical now, I know, but back then, people just didn't do that. And that sort of like got me thinking, we need this groove element in our death metal sound. We need the hardcore aspect in our music, and have it be genuine outside of death metal, you know? And the guy that was moshing, I actually haven't spoken to him in years. His name is Nick. He later formed a Death for Every Sin, which is arguably the greatest hardcore band out of Montreal or Quebec of all time. And those were the days, man. Everybody was X'd up, and I was like the pothead hanging out with all the straight edge kids, and like they were all X'd up literally, and I was smoking weed, but just so fascinated with that culture and that way of being. And ironically, you know, I'm the one now that doesn't drink or doesn't smoke, and they all broke edge, you know, years ago, which is hilarious. But yeah, so just that got me going, man. And back then I was in multiple bands at the time. I later joined In Dying Days, you know, that again brought me to all these shows and showed me all these bands. And I was still playing in Neuraxis, and with Neuraxis I was doing my first tours. So first time we toured America was summer 2001, and then we played a show in Boston at the Middle East, which is a venue that's still open. And after the show, these kids came up to me, you know, and it was a death metal show for sure, but I was like wearing a Celtics basketball jersey and standing out and shit, and like they're like, yo, that was sick, and like we're in this new band, we're called the Red Chord, and I still have the demo cassette of, you know, what later became Fused Together, their first record. And so whenever I get asked this question, it's just all these layers that I need to peel up. But on the East Coast, the first bands that were active, according, you know, to what I've experienced out of life, are the Red Chord and Despised Icon. And then doing these first tours were mainly death metal tours. Deathcore wasn't a thing or wasn't organized, but that's how we started playing these one-off shows or small runs with, you know, All Shall Perish or Animosity. So to me on the West Coast, that's how it started. But me being vocal about this, I don't go online a lot, but sometimes I do, and I read the comments, and people are like, you forgot to mention this band and you forgot to mention that band. So, you know, if you ask someone, he'll say something else, and that's cool too, because I'm not everywhere all at once, you know. But in my book, the first deathcore band that was active and making waves and that was popular was Through the Eyes of the Dead. And they were bringing out all the bands, you know, whether it's Despised Icon or Ion Dissonance or Whitechapel or the Acacia Strain, all these bands, you know, we all opened for Through the Eyes of the Dead. This is before Job for a Cowboy became super popular, before Suicide Silence and Whitechapel took over the world, you know. Those were the most active bands in the late 2000s that really made deathcore, you know, the fine print to this scene, you know. I give them all the credit. But Through the Eyes of the Dead, I feel like they're a band that should be mentioned more and more in these conversations. But backtracking here to 15 minutes ago, who started deathcore? I don't know. We're amongst the first. I'm just happy to be part of the movement. And there was a time when it was just so popular, and very much related to the scene kid culture, and that sort of like was hindered the legitimacy of that movement. And I remember seeing people that was, hearing people that it was just an ongoing joke. It's never going to last. These kids don't know what real metal or real hardcore is. And that's all good, man. But we're 20 something years in now, and we're still here, doing it. And we talk a lot about the old bands, but all the new bands or recent bands, they're killing it, man. They're making it what it is now, and they're making it even more relevant than it ever was. And people talk shit about Slaughter to Prevail or Lorna Shore, but they're like filling out these big ass venues, selling them out, months in advance, and showing, exposing the new generation, the 16, 18, 21, early 20s, they're exposing them to heavy music. And I think that's positive, because there was a point when I thought that metal was just going to fizzle away. It felt like you needed a clean chorus just to be relevant, or make a living out of music. And my other band, Obey the Brave, that was our full-time gig. And at some point we were like, we need to reinvent ourselves. We need to pay for the bills. We like punk rock. We like melodic singing. We should try these clean choruses, A Day to Remember. The old stuff I actually really enjoy still. So we sort of like fell in that trap of doing like everyone else, just to like maintain and be able to make a career out of this, because it's hard, man. It's a lot of sacrifice. But yeah, I feel like music was at a all-time low, for the heavy shit. And then you have bands like Knock Loose just killing it and showing to the new generation, but to the old heads like me, that you can still make it and just scream and be heavy and have these heavy parts or all these blast beats and whatnot. So exciting times.
It is interesting, because now that you mention it, I do remember when clean choruses was like the most popular bands in underground music did have the clean singing and stuff. And it was like from COVID on, it's been the heaviest bands are the ones that are selling out, like L'Olympia, where it's like a 2,500 cap venue, and Slaughter to Prevail, Whitechapel opening, which is so strange as a 33-year-old to see Whitechapel opening for a band that's half their age.
That's cool though. And I see Whitechapel supporting Lorna Shore a lot as well. And I love that these newer bands, because even a band like Slaughter or Lorna, they've been around for like a decade. I remember Despised Icon, we played our reunion shows, and I think we played Gramercy in like 2014 or something, when we decided to give it a go again after like 4 years of inactivity and being fully broken up, And Lorna Shore was like the local opener, And now they're the biggest band in the world. I saw them at Place Belle in front of like 4,000 kids. Like, it's surreal, big, man. And I love that, like, a band like that, they're acknowledging, bands like Chapel that have stayed consistent for like probably almost 20 years now, and that were around for the highs and the lows of the scene and made it what it is. So I love that these newer bands are paying their respects. And we just did a U.S. tour with Sangi Sugabog, and in America they're like a huge phenomenon, man. They have this entire new generation of concert goers that they attract and bring into heavy music, and they exposed us to a lot of new fans, and I'm very thankful for that. So the reaction to, people in their 30s or 40s seeing an older band open for a younger band is often negative or surprising. But in order for us to just still be relevant, and this is me being fully transparent and honest with you, it's important for us to do these tours so that we not only play to our fans, but make new ones in the process, because we've played a lot with more traditional or older bands, and all of the diehards, they come out, But at the end of the day, I just love music. I want to play music with my friends for as long as possible. So and for me, in order for me to facilitate that and make that happen, I need to, play in front of people that are just getting into this. So it's a win-win for everyone. At least
Yeah.
I would like to think.
No, I mean, I fully agree. And I do love the fact that those bands aren't turning their nose up, like bands like Despised and Whitechapel and Chelsea Grin, even though I think most of that band is all, they're not even original members, but
Shout
they'll,
out to my boys in Grin. I love them as well.
yeah. I Pablo was one of my favorite deathcore drummers, mainly because
Great
of,
vocalist as well.
that's what I'm saying. He could hit those crazy gutturals from the drums, which is insane.
He's got those chops, man. The rudiments. He's a very solid player. There was a time where, ironically, Despised didn't tour much with Chapel. What am I saying with Chapel? With Grin, but Obey the Brave. We did a lot of tours with like the older Chelsea Grin and toured a lot with Pablo. And he's just like an all around good dude. I think he's playing like with like country artists now, and
Yeah.
country being the phenomenon that it is. He's probably, doing these big ass gigs and drawing real income from that. So good on him. Good for him.
Well, I wanted to go somewhere. Oh, so with Shadow Work and the new record, and
Yes.
which is awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
We were on the road when the singles were coming out. Like, so I think that first single, Over My Dead Body with Matt on it, came out while we were in the States. And I remember us putting it on, and we like almost swerved and wrecked at one point because it was like that breakdown hits at the end. What continues to inspire Despised Icon? Because you guys have been a band for 20 years. And I'm sure that it's very different writing now than it was that first record.
It definitely was. Thank you for checking out the record. Never take these things for granted. That song in particular was written, late 2022, beginning of 2023, maybe. It took us a long time to write this record. It was just very on and off. As I said, I was starting a new career and had to take a step back. And but I remember writing that song, and automatically I thought of Matt. Why? Because Obey the Brave toured with Kublai Khan, Despised Icon toured with Kublai Khan, and this was at a time when they had that buzz, but they weren't like huge like they are right now. And I'm so happy for them because that's sick. So it wasn't like a marketing thing or anything. I just let's invite our boy Matt. He's just good times, and his energy definitely matches the energy of that track. So I remember like DMing him like, and then just not talking about it for like over a year, so from start to finish, that song took 2 years or something, but it just made a whole lot of sense. And I think that him being on it is just it's just genuine. So what motivates us, what inspires us, as cheesy as it may sound, friendship first and foremost, because we are all in our mid or second half of our 40s already. And so this band has been around for, we've been in this band for half of our lives. The youngest member is Ben, who just turned 40, who joined the band in 2009. Everyone else has been in the band since 02 or 04, And when we became a band again and rebanded, it was important for us to just be the same dudes. So during during 2000, mainly 2008, 9, and 10, that's when we reached a point where we were just touring so much that it was no longer sustainable for Yannick, our guitar player at the time, who was the first to have kids and step away, and Sebastien, our bass player, who also had a kid and had to step away. And we were all like pushing 30 and starting new careers and whatnot. So towards the end of that era of the band, we had Al and Max, friends from America. And then when we broke up, Al joined Job for a Cowboy a little before the end. Max joined Black Dahlia Murder. And then when we rebanded, Max is still doing Black Dahlia. Al is on to other things, and we were like, it's just gonna be the old crew again. So Sebastien came back, Yannick came back, but as our front of house engineer. So it's still pretty much the same 7 dudes with Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it feels so special to say that the newest member is from 2009. So what motivates us? Friendship, brotherhood, creativity. The older I get, the more serious I get. I have spreadsheets for like this and my personal finance and accounting and just, the bills and, ménage, lavage, épicerie, all of that. So like the grown-up life. And then I feel like I need music to just keep me connected to that younger energy that I don't want to lose. So that keeps me motivated. It keeps it relevant in my life. I've been around the world. I've toured America like over 24 times. I've toured Europe over 24 times. I've been to Asia a bunch, Japan. Oh my God. I miss going to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Latin America, South America, Australia, all that. Just, I've had the opportunity, to travel so much. And when you're doing it full time, you sort of lose track of how special it is. And now that we just play 20 something shows a year, mainly, one tour a year, I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. And I savor every moment of it. So another answer to your question would be just the whole traveling aspect. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice disconnect from the life at home. And as I said originally, end of 2019, I needed for my focus to be at home in Montreal. And that's still very much my focus. But I find myself, wanting to step back into my old ways. So for me to have that balance, having that little disconnect once a year and having that one tour a year allows me to be fully focused as a boyfriend, as an employee at Messorem, as just someone that lives, un Montrealais,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I still play music, and then just writing songs. I love being creative. I'm one of the main songwriters, so just stepping into that realm is just something that's important to me. You mentioned earlier, Grayson, that you are an extrovert. For myself, it's very much the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Introverted. I'm not shy at all. I can have these conversations. It's just most of the time I choose not to do so. I like being calm. I understand the relevance of being social.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the importance of being social. There are ties to, mental health and cognitive aspects of physiology and all that. It's important to, talk and interact. But for me, it's always been hard to sort of like say the real things and acknowledge what's the things that aren't going so well in my life. And music has been that positive outlet to all that negative energy. And it's the answer to me being calm and just that normal everyday life. So that's why I love playing music. And then not my main motivation, but it's just so special to see, people that for some, not a lot, but for some, what we do is important, and it allows us to connect with people from around the world. And I don't know, it's a very special thing. You write a song and it means something to someone,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not why we do it, but when that happens, it's sort of magical, and it brings us together. And people are so divided nowadays.
Right.
Community, being part of a community, I find myself enjoying that more and more and feeling full and satiated because of that, being part of something. Uh, as an only child and spending a lot of time alone as a kid, I feel like being part of a band or community, it's the closest I'll ever experience to, brotherhood. And so when I was a kid, I would find myself, being intrigued and rewatching these movies like E.T., that group of kids, on their BMX bikes, the Goonies, same thing, they're like inseparable. I just wrapped up Stranger Things, sort of the same vibe, and like that's something I never had as a kid. And that's something that I experience and continue to experience, A, with Despised Icon, but also B, curiously enough, with Messorem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I play music.
And we wrap it up and we put a bow on it.
I want to shut up a little. Just I want to hear you talk for a sec here. Actually, I need my dose.
Yo,
here.
Those lifesavers.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I feel and I have digestive problems. So we all have something, right?
Yeah.
So maybe this is just a mental thing, but I do it.
No, it helps. I stopped drinking for like from New Year's until this weekend. I kind of stopped. I didn't drink anything at all at home at all. And I had like 2 days in a row where we were having some drinks with friends socially. And man, I was feeling my 30s, I'll tell you, on that second day. And so my wife and she like pulls out the ginger turmeric doses, and I took one. I was like, you know what? Feel right as rain. Feel great. So yeah,
wait till you hit your 40s, man. That
don't tell me that.
It takes more and more time to recuperate. But yeah, one of our last tours the last time we toured Europe was with Dying Fetus and Chelsea Grin, and they had these on their rider, and I didn't know what they were, and I tried one, and they would never drink them all, so they would just, Alex, yo, come over here, man, I got you. So now these are on my rider whenever we're on tour, and now I mentioned Costco earlier. I buy them in bulk, and there we go.
I gotta get a Costco membership. There's so many things I need that like I keep telling myself like I don't need that. I don't need 27 of those. But then now that I think about it, I kind of do need 27 of them.
I mean, so I would imagine you live with your wife, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you two, you live at home, so you. For me, with my girlfriend Elizabeth, we buy certain things in bulk. There are certain things that you're always going to need, whether it's coffee or toilet paper or so on and so forth. So those things make Costco useful.
Mm-hmm.
But for the longest time, I was like, fuck Costco. Like to me, resisting to that establishment was me staying young and not being an adult and staying young at heart. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought that way, but I don't know. It's just very practical because I hate doing groceries. So having something for a while just limits me having to go to the grocery store. So it's a smart thing, and you save up. And
I found out they deliver as well.
They do. I know it's close to where I live. Both Elizabeth and I, we have digestive problems, and I have this condition, so I have to eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's made touring a little bit more complicated, quite frankly. But at home, probably 95% of everything that my girlfriend and I eat are home cooked meals. Shout out to Elizabeth; she is the best cook. I try to partake as much as possible and do my side of the things, so it's équitable, fair.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of the dishes, and I do the easy stuff, the breakfast, the eggs, and all that. And but yeah, shout out Costco. All right, enough of that. I don't know.
You buy a tent. You can go buy a tent and a bunch of doses in bulk. Some monsters.
Monsters? Hell no. So here's the thing. We talked about our 40s, and it takes me a little while. It takes me longer to recuperate now. Energy drinks don't make me feel good. We played this festival in Granby a couple of years ago, Festival au Lac, and I was very tired. You know, I closed at Messorem the night before, and then the very next morning I was in Granby, so I was tired and I couldn't get my head straight. Before our set, chugged a Red Bull, and it made me feel even worse on stage. And then I lost my voice mid-set, made me feel very self-conscious. I don't know what it was. Maybe the sugar. Maybe I didn't practice enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've been experiencing trauma because of that fucking show ever since. So I try to not do energy drinks,
Mm-hmm.
but
well, they dehydrate you, right?
I feel like they dehydrate you.
That's what I mean. They dehydrate you.
Okay, so that's probably another factor right there. But I have to admit, so Ben, our guitar player, he does jujitsu, he goes to the gym, he trains and all that, and he buys C4, which is like pre-workout. And so this last tour, I got really sick. I have this immune deficiency thing. So I felt very sick, and it was hard for me to just get my head straight and find the energy. So I was like, Ben, let me try a quarter scoop of C4 before a set. And then a quarter scoop became half a scoop, and then half a scoop became a scoop. And then I was like, holy shit, this is way too much. And then I backtracked. I'm more of a half a scoop, only when needed now, before a set. And I'm not sure if it's good for me or not, but I don't take drugs. I don't drink. Just give me half a scoop of C4. I feel like I'm entitled to it, you know?
My hot take is caffeine is the straight edge man's drug.
Okay.
Because everyone I know that's straight edge, shout out all my straight edge friends, and there are quite a few of them. They are obsessed with coffee or energy drinks or both, or working out, and they use pre-workout. I won't name names. Maybe some of them work at supplement stores. I don't know. Managed
maybe
supplement stores.
Maybe some of them are redheads. Who knows?
Maybe some of them are buff. I don't know. But they also might hook me up with protein every now and then. So I'm not going to talk shit. I'm not going to talk shit on them. But maybe caffeine is the straight edge man's drug. I might catch flack for that. I don't care. I have my vices. I'm not afraid to admit that. So
I had straight edge friends, like, I don't know, let's say it's the Super Bowl and the boys gather up for some brews and all that, and they literally have a 6-pack of like Mountain Dew or something, and then they just, you know, hammer these Mountain Dews, arguably probably worse than having a beer.
Worse.
So be smart. I remember, so again, late 90s, early 2000s, going to school. I can remember, shout out Max from Undying Days. He was like sick. And then I was like, dude, just get some cough syrup. Just grab a Tylenol or something for your headache. He's like, oh, I can't. I'm straight edge. I can't do any chemicals or medicine and shit. I was like, yo, that's ridiculous, man. Just have some cough syrup.
You're not Mormon. Like, you can take medicine. Like, you're just not wanting to alter your mind. That's it. Tylenol's not going to alter your mind unless you take like 60 of them. Like, that's crazy.
But yeah, I still to this day, I can't start my morning without a coffee. So I'm 2 coffees in the morning. I'm that type of guy. I used to like just brew a whole pot and do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, my stomach could definitely not do that anymore. So just 2 coffees and I'm good for the day.
I started swapping
or a bit of C4 before my set.
Absolutely not. Not for me. I started doing matcha. My wife is really into matcha.
Okay.
So I've started doing matcha because it's greens, basically. It's like green tea powder. So it's good for your gut and metabolism. So I just don't like having to add milk. I don't like doing milk because
I've had matcha, tastes good. I feel like I get more wired or angsty, or what's the proper word? Jittery? I don't know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe not for me, or a smaller dose perhaps. But every
It's
time I've
go ahead.
yeah, every time I just feel weird.
For me, it's like it's more gradual. It's like it's a slow creep up, and then it like plateaus for a bit, and then it kind of slowly rolls off. So
Okay.
halfway through, I have to kind of drink a coffee to like, you know, crank it. So I don't
So
know.
so maybe it's just a matter of me being like, "Oh, this really tastes good," and then I just chug it, you know? Maybe
Yeah, maybe
that's
don't
what I
do
shouldn't.
that. Don't do that.
Maybe that's what I was doing wrong. Yeah.
I think the application of it might be incorrect. Let me know, Alex, some upcoming plans that you have for Despised. I know you mentioned booking a tour. Is there anything in the works writing? What do you have going on?
So tour-wise, as I said, we tour once a year, always in the fall. For me personally, that's when things start to calm down at the brewery. For a lot of my friends in the band, it's sort of same like same type of scenario, so to speak, but applied to their workspace. Uh, so we normally alternate between America and Europe. Just did America, so this year will be Europe. Fall of 2026. It's in the works right now. Lineup is booked. Uh, Old friends. I can't wait to reveal the lineup. Very excited to play with these bands. Very excited to reconnect with these friends. Locally, we're actually going to be playing Montreal this year again. I'm just not going to say when or where or with whom, but it'll be this year. So just the event that you and I were part of last December was just, it felt so good. And us being so busy, we had not played home in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep mentioning the importance of community and the local scene. And if to me it was a local event, it wasn't just a Despised Icon show. It was a Bruiserweight show. It was a Scorching Tomb show. It was an Apes show. It was a fucking Beneath the Massacre show, Blind
Sick.
Witness, all that. A Primal Horde. Shout out to all the bands, because
Mm-hmm.
it was very much an event for everyone involved. And just proud to be from Montreal, man, and Quebec in general, and very much looking forward to playing home as well. We're going to try and play a few more shows within the province, hopefully play Ottawa and Toronto. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, that would be it for the year. And then moving forward, we've turned down like 2 tours in Australia in the last 3 months, and it's heartbreaking. And I haven't been to Australia in quite some time, so that might be part of the strategy for 2027. If there's one person from Australia listening right now, just know that we care. It has nothing to do with the fact that we don't want to be there. It's complicated, man. It's just
Mm-hmm.
real life shit. So we can only do so much on a yearly basis. But that's what I'm thinking about right now. We are self-managed. Eric and I, we manage everything. So we're just doing our best, keeping it DIY to us in certain respects. Well, I mean, we do everything aside from like the label stuff. And, but yeah, so just trying to be everywhere all at once. And I mentioned my love of Excel and spreadsheets. We have a spreadsheet which has all the dates, and this equates to this amount of time off for every one of us, so that we can afterwards go to our employers and make sure that they allow us that vacation time for us to do that one tour.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in the works, tour wise. And then music wise, I want to follow up with at least a new single, but I don't want to speak too fast, but one record every 6 years, that's just way too long. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just saying that for the fan. I'm saying it for myself as a creative person. I don't want to take that long anymore. But there were a lot of factors that slowed all of this down. But here I'm in my home office / home studio, and I don't know, let me move this, and
Yeah, you got a vocal
that's,
booth in there.
yeah, vocal booth, and that's right there. That's the screen. I have this whole setup that connects to my computer and then connects there, and that shelf there. I just put my keyboard on it and I just record myself, and I know how to work Cubase now. And so I want to do some pre-pro shit this year, but keep it light and fun and not too I hate being productive in music, but I would like for at least to write a song this year, and if I like it, maybe do a single out of it. If not, just do that same exercise over and over again until we have a song that I feel strongly about, and then we drop it. So maybe within the next year, but I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. But it's fun to have people excited and shit. But as I said, I as a musician, I just need to write and record shit and put it out. So maybe play that singles game more and more, and not just focus on accumulating this full body of work and then recording it all at once. And then it makes less and less sense in my life now to apply that sort of thinking. So I would like to accumulate enough material to have one strong single, and then shelve the rest, and then repeat that exercise over and over again until we have a record, but you sort of like write and record it as you go along so that it's less overwhelming in the end, because back in the day, that was all that I did. But now I need time for myself. I need time for, spend some quality time with my family, my friends, my girlfriend. And also I have, obligations at work, and just trying to maintain everything all at once. So yeah,
For sure.
Shadow Work is not our last record. Far from it. Still got plenty of gas in the tank, and I want to do this shit for as long as possible. So to anyone out there listening, supporting, just know that it means a lot, and you guys make this shit possible. So thank you. And yeah, that's my mindset right now. Just a lot of being grateful for everything that's coming my way, and just spreading positive energy as much as I can, and me being as vocal as possible about a lot of things, so that hopefully it will inspire the new generation. Or if somebody's listening right now and wants to be a vocalist or a guitar player, or wants to, be a studio engineer or a local promoter, like, just fucking do it, man. There's never a right time to do it. So just get out there, do everything that you can, even if the timing isn't right. And I'm just trying to provide some perspective or motivation, and that comfort zone, man. It's good for that, keep that anxiety down and everything. But at some point, if you stay within that little circle, you sort of like pigeonhole yourself into a specific thing, and you deprive yourself of a lot of opportunities and growth. So if you can do it, Grayson, if I can do it, then anyone else out there that's thinking of doing it, I think you should do it.
Yeah.
And will fuck up a lot, but ultimately you will learn. That's how you learn, man.
Yeah.
And then you just brush it off and on to the next thing. So yeah, that's my headspace at the moment.
Like, luckily art can be very forgiving, because it can also be very unforgiving, but you make a mistake, you learn from the mistake, you do something different next time.
And the beauty about art, you could go to school and everything, but like there are no actual rules, and that's the beauty of it. And that's how you reinvent yourself, by breaking that cycle and breaking these rules. And at the end of the day, I'll just speak for myself here, but this music shit, or art in general, has little to do with talent and a lot to do with perseverance and heart.
Mm-hmm.
And if you persevere, if every day is a Hatebreed song, and if you have that heart, then you will achieve and you'll get to that goal. And, you know, beautiful mistakes.
Yes.
I don't know. Who's that? The
Bob
Bob
Ross.
Ross?
Yeah.
Bob Ross.
Happy accidents.
Voila.
uh,
Where am I going with this?
I don't know.
I don't consider myself to be, I don't want to sell myself short, but I'm not the best songwriter. I'm not the best vocalist. But what sets me apart from a lot of people, and one of the reasons why I'm still here doing it, is just because I love this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that it's still genuine. And that's why I'm still out here, you know, playing these shows and writing these songs, because I love it. And if you love what you do, whether it's music or art or anything else, man, you want to be a basketball player, you want to work at Sony with Grayson, whatever, man. Like, if that's beautiful to you, then just pursue it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Go for it. Alex, I really appreciate you hanging out today on Sunday. It's gonna be a lovely day. Anyway, I just have one last question for you before we go.
I'm all ears.
What's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns?
Favorite city for beans and breakdowns. So you're saying for coffee and music all at once?
Yes.
That's an excellent question.
High pressure.
And you know what? The answer is Montreal, baby.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That is the correct answer. Give me one good, it doesn't have to be long, just a nice, like, favorite throwback story from a Montreal show.
Story from a Montreal show.
It could be one that you played or didn't play, that you're just at and you're like, holy shit, that's crazy.
My first local show was Grimskunk at the Medley in like the mid 90s. So that will always be memorable to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I saw Primus like at the auditorium in Verdun or something, or saw the Rolling Stones with my parents. That was my very first show, actually. Rolling Stones with my parents. I was probably like 10 years old at the Olympic Stadium. I remember being with my parents and being like, yo, Dad, that guy's cigarette smells funny. You know, I remember telling them that. That's a story that I tell over and over again. But first local show was Grimskunk at the Medley. And then I remember with Despised Icon, we played the last metal show at the Medley before it got torn down and converted into condos. And that was the Day of Mourning album launch show with my friends in Blind Witness, who I used to actually make fun of them back then because they were like the stereotype of the scene kid, you know, but ultimately they became some of my best friends, you know. Shout out John, shout out Miguel, you know, started Obey the Brave with them afterwards. So it was Blind Witness, Trapped Under Ice, The Acacia Strain, Cryptopsy, Despised Icon, Day of Mourning album launch show in Montreal, last metal show at the Medley. That was a memorable show. If not, another show that comes to mind is the first show we ever played. Again, shout out Dave Boucher, Extensive. He booked our first show. He hit me up. He was like, I heard you have this new band. Do you guys want to play this show at Licks that I talked about earlier? We were like, yeah, we would love to. We don't have a band name. He was like, figure it out. You're playing this show. So we figured it out, became Despised Icon. So our first show at Lex is memorable. But back then, you know, we didn't have a lot of opportunities. So again, always being self-managed, I would book our shows in Montreal. And when the time came to book our album launch show in Montreal, I booked it myself at a club venue that was called Zest, that is no longer around. And this was like the old school way of doing things. This is before social media, before MySpace. So it was me printing out flyers and going to all the shows and handing out these flyers. And again, I said I was very in my shell back then, so it was like forcing me to meet people and communicate and do that networking. And then, but that show was like it was like oversold, you know, it was sold out and then some. I remember like, holy shit, people are actually showing up to our album launch show, and like, holy shit, it's sold out. And like, there's a huge ass line outside of people that still want to come in, you know, and the venue was like, no more, no more. So I speak with my friend Melissa that was helping me out, and what we ended up doing is like, it was super hush hush, but like, we went in the line outside and we're like, listen, we can't, we're not allowed to, the show's sold out, you can't come in, but you know what? Just meet me backstage and you'll come in. So we ended up bypassing like the box office, and then made a like line in the back of the venue, hush hush, and people were coming in through the backstage area, and we were just grabbing these, I don't know, it's probably $10, $20. I don't know. People were still paying, you know, supporting a local initiative and whatnot. So that to me was super fun. People showing up to support me, support the bands, you know, all local bands. Black metal band called Unquintessence. One of my old friends, Gab, who was a vocalist in that band, later became the first vocalist in Ion Dissonance. So as I said, we all go way back. So that was a fond memory of a local show. And then speaking of Ion Dissonance, speaking of Salle de Lix and all that, the last show I'm going to talk about here before we go is the Dillinger Escape Plan. They play, I feel like I mentioned this on another podcast, but fuck it, it's still a fond memory. Dillinger Escape Plan play Montreal, perhaps for the first time, with Every Time I Die. So Dillinger, it's during the calculating infinity days.
Mm-hmm.
Every Time I Die, it was, I'm not sure if it was Hot Damn or Last Night in Town, either the second or the third record, and show is sold out, and Ion Dissonance are playing their first show ever in Montreal, or first show ever, and what later became Beneath the Massacre, they were called Observing the Fallen Tree. They were opening as well. I was like, there's no fucking way I'm missing this show, so I snuck in through, again, the backstage area, made it super discreet so that I wouldn't miss my friends and wouldn't miss Dillinger. And that was just such a sick show. Seeing bands that I love so much, you know, the local scene, again, Beneath, Ion, play their first shows, the first of many, and then one thing led to another, toured Canada, toured America, toured Europe, and I'm just so proud of my friends for you know, everything that they've built and achieved. And I wish everyone the best. I'm scared sometimes because there used to be all these shows in like Sherbrooke and Trois-Rivières and Drummondville and Rimouski, and like, you know, back then people weren't just playing Toronto, they were playing, you know, Hamilton and Mississauga and Brampton and Oakville and Oshawa and St. Catharines, and I'm seeing less and less of that, and I'm seeing less and less local bands. So again, this is tying into what I said earlier. This scene is awesome. If you're thinking of joining, being part of a band, anything, just join up, man. Like, I feel like we need to start it up again. I'm so stoked to see Bruiserweight tour America, you know, kill it, you know, like all these bands, Apes, they're touring Europe for the first time soon, you know. My friends in Don't Try, they're actually killing it in the UK right now. It's like, this is so cool, man. And shout out to Prowl, you know, I think they just toured Canada with Comeback Kid. I feel like they're doing all right in Europe as well. Like, this is super important, man. Like, without all these bands and all these people, this scene is just going to die. So that's, I'm fearful of that sometimes, but I'm becoming more and more confident that the next generation is just going to get shit done and bring shit to the next level. So that's it. Take care of your scene. Over and out.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thanks, buddy. It was
thanks
fun.
for hanging out. Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, of course.